So the entire panel is asked whether or not government should build roads. Now, of course, this is a dilemma for libertarians who think, because they realize that if the market was to determine whether or not roads should be built, then our highway system would be a shadow of what it is. Our road system would be even just like a slice of what it is. Housing density would have to be huge. We'd have vast swaths of land that would be undeveloped. Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm not so sure that wouldn't be so bad if we had just, land undeveloped, untouched, just federally owned land. But I guess presumably in their mind it would be owned by, like Peter Thiel would own, I don't know, half of the land mass of the United States, and we could just go and get maybe hunting permits from him.
That would be gunned by managed by paramilitaries.
Yeah, we would just go and get hunting permits to see if we could take one of Peter Thiel's deer or something to eat. But nevertheless, the best way to answer any question that presents a dilemma to your philosophy as a libertarian, we all know from listening to libertarians who call into this program, is to suggest that some form of a jetpack will make all of this moot.
Mr. McAfee, should government, whether state or local, fund infrastructure, roads, bridges, sewers, electrical grids? And if government does not do it, who or what will?
Each of those are separate problems. We have interstate highways. There are issues involved in right-of-way and various intricate problems involving eminent domain. So we have to address that differently than local problems. With our solar power and our new technologies, local facilities can be created to generate that. So, but the government should, at the maximum, be involved in the minimum part of this entire issue.
Pause it as they applaud for him. Let me translate what he said. Nothing. Nothing. He might as well have just said, trope. Is trope, can I just say trope? Okay.
Mr. Perry?
I'll do my best to answer this in 30 seconds. We're in a hotel. Hotels thrive on having customers stay in their hotel, which means people need to get to their hotel, which means that people are probably coming to visit and do stuff. All of these places thrive on customers, meaning that they need a flat surface for all of their customers to come and go from. Businesses will be incentivized to have these flat surfaces called roads. We don't need to steal the money. Let the people who thrive from them pay for them. Voluntarily, of course.
So what he's suggesting is, in places that attract tourism, you'll be able to get maybe a big hotel company that will pay for a road. Now, do you think the hotel company is going to pay for the road to go anywhere but to directly to their hotel? Now, I guess maybe they could get together with maybe a gas station. So it'll be just the road will go past the gas station, and that's about it. The road to the hospital? We're not going to pay for that. Oh, the road from the fire department to anywhere else? We're not going to pay for that. Unless, I know what it is. If you have a fire going on in your house, then you could decide to build a road from the fire department to your house. That could work out well. I mean, you'd have to have, and then think about it. It would create a new business where you need to have cement that it can actually instantaneously be put down on the ground so that fire trucks could get there.
There's a company in Singapore that does this. They use elves
there we go.
who have faster working abilities, and it works better for everyone.
But that gets back. His response is basically a more extreme version of what I was suggesting would have to happen, where if you just had people that were incentivized to pay for the roads. But here we go. That's a more efficient way, incidentally, of doing that, right? Right. If you were a construction company, you just got to hope for someone to build a hotel. But now, why would you build a hotel if there's no road there?
Of course.
Governor Johnson.
Well, infrastructure is the best example of how you can privatize this entire function, and you can do this through user fees to be able to accomplish that. Should government be in charge of that process? Well, you're probably going to have government administrate over it or issue a request for proposal to see this happen, but no, government shouldn't be involved in this. The private sector can be involved in this. Entrepreneurs can be involved in this and can apply the best taxes possible, which are user fees, by those that in fact use the infrastructure.
Pause it. So basically, these special user fees will only go to people who use things like sewerage or maybe roads or like police or fire department. Now, if you're one of those people, you'll pay a user fee. They'll call it a user fee, but you know what it's called? A tax.
Mr. Peterson.
The old who will build the roads. Roads, roads, roads.
Ah, yes.
Where we're
the
going,
old,
we don't need
the old.
roads.
Pause it, go back. Oh, the old. Who's going to pay for things in society that we all want? Ah, this little chestnut that comes up. Well, yeah,
Infidious deductus.
the obvious of
Blatantly obvious defoius.
yes.
A completely apparent problem to even the most simple thinking people imaginable that interferes with our Scientology-like devotion to this bizarre, creepy neo-feudalism. I'm so glad you brought it up.
I always equate this to that ridiculous question about why can't we fly to the old thing about gravity.
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 To paraphrase Lloyd Benson, a status but a true wit. There you go again.
Peterson.
The old who will build the roads. Roads, roads, roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Because the truth is that in the future we'll have a jetpack. This is unimaginative. They don't see a future where freedom can solve the problems that are created by government. The free market can solve these problems. Take a look at what happened in Hurricane Katrina when people were suffering and there was no electricity. What happened? People stepped in and they started offering generators, and people said, oh wow, look, they're charging for these generators 2, 3 times more than you might have learned on the free market. But they called them price gougers. But the truth is that supply and demand worked. And looks like I'm out of time, but who will build the roads? Roads. We don't need that. We don't need government to build roads.
Are we not psychic about libertarians?
Now, wait a second.
Oh, my God.
I didn't even know.
Jetpacks.
You had written right here, it was...
Jetpacks.
He said, you said Peterson says we won't need roads. I was guessing about the jetpacks.
I don't understand why you post this.
Been talking about jetpacks for a really long time.
Yeah, because I understand the libertarian brain.
Clearly.
If I understand what Peterson is saying here is that Hurricane Katrina gives us a good model. We're not going to need roads. We're just going to need boats. We're just going to be all living on canals, selling boats at a premium.
Hurricane Katrina and the aftermath is not a good model for anything.
I love the idea, honestly, that this guy could raise, and there's no doubt in my mind the only time Hurricane Katrina raised in this debate, right?
Jesus Christ.
The only time that it's raised is in the context of coming up with it was a great opportunity to see how well the market works. Unbelievable.
Let me say.
Privatized. FEMA privatized. Private services down the line. The reason why those buses were sitting 3 hours away, 4 hours away, was because the fifth subcontractor who was contracted to get those buses to where they needed to go didn't want to take them out too early, because if it was a false alarm, it would have cut into the profits that they were making on that contract. And so scumbag is a really strong word, but pathological people gathered there. The only lesson they can learn is that the market works when people are desperate. When the when the power dynamic is such that one person's life is at stake and the other person has a generator or a candy bar, you can make a lot of money out of that.
If Greg runs for president, I will be his campaign manager. I will be his senior strategist. I want him up there explaining why the other guy's jetpack plan is wrong, and also how we can solve all of the problems in the Middle East with said jetpacks and relocating Palestinians to Jordan in a friendly act of ethnic cleansing.
Okay,
I want that.
Hello, you. I'm Sam Seder. Looking for smart progressive talk that is occasionally amusing? Well, subscribe to our YouTube feed. Subscribe to our podcast. Like us on Facebook. And just generally enjoy us.